Good day, and thank you for tuning in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. For all of our new listeners and viewers who are tuning in for the very first time, I'm Pastor Pope, Senior Pastor of New Life Christian Center, located at 400 Hillcrest Avenue in Wilmington, Delaware, 19809. If you are ever in our area, if you're in our area, we invite you to come worship with us. We invite you to come and experience a better quality of life. Service begins at 10 a.m. in our sanctuary at New Life Christian Center, 400 Hillcrest Avenue in Wilmington, Delaware. And it is Mother's Day, and New Life men are cooking. So if you're in our area, this is one time a year I cook. If you're in our area, all the men of New Life Christian Center will be cooking for all of the mothers. We invite you to come and enjoy brunch immediately following Sunday service. But service begins at 10 a.m. And if you're not in our area, of course, as always, you can tune in for the Sunday sermon at New Life Christian Center on our YouTube channel at New Life Christian Center Pastor Pope. Like and subscribe on our YouTube channel at New Life Christian Center, 400 Hillcrest Avenue in Wilmington, Delaware. We go live at 10:45 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And as always, we're here with you every Monday through Friday from 12:30 p.m. until 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. We are broadcasting live from the FijiWater.com sponsored studio, where you can discuss careers, finances, entrepreneurship. You can discuss marriage, divorce, raising children, blending families. You can discuss dating and relationships, whatever's in your heart, whatever's on your mind. God is concerned about that which concerns you. And that is the reason that we are here with you in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast, which is brought to you daily by Fiji Water, Earth's finest water. You may already know that Fiji water comes from Fiji. However, did you know that it is created by nature? It is untouched by man. It starts as a tropical rainfall which slowly filters through layers of volcanic rock, where the water collects in a natural, sustainable artesian aquifer, where it is bottled right at the source, free from human contact, until you unscrew the blue cap. Fiji Water, Earth's finest water, will be delivered right to your front door when you subscribe for delivery, and you will save money at FijiWater.com. This is not just ordinary water. This is Earth's finest water at FijiWater.com. And for those of you who continue giving on the Give segment of our app at New Life-Delaware, and those of you who made a weekly or monthly commitment to support the broadcast by giving on the contribution pages of our websites at NewLifeMinistriesInternational.com and NewLifeInternationalCDC.com. And those of you that use the QR code or the link provided on Facebook and YouTube, we thank all of you for your support and for your continued commitment as we fulfill our commitment to God to be here for you in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcasting. So I want to remind all of our listeners and viewers, we are in our May FijiWater.com sponsored promo, where you have the opportunity to be selected to win a case of Fiji water from FijiWater.com. And the way that you do that is you go to our internet radio station, WKAPFaith.com. The first 3 songs you hear at 12 noon or 6 p.m., list those songs, text them along with your name and your email address to the T-Mobile caller text line at 267-992-1424. We will select one of our listeners and viewers to receive a case of Fiji water from FijiWater.com. And I want to remind all of our listeners and viewers, I'm going to keep reminding you of this because I keep getting feedback. We're going to be going to a 1-hour broadcast. I will announce the date in coming weeks. I will announce the date that we will go to a 1-hour broadcast. However, you asked for it, so you got it. We will be doing a 1-hour broadcast from 12 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time until 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And we're going to enjoy what God continues to do as we continue to move forward. We'll have some other offerings that will be coming up. And our FijiWater.com sponsored promo, where one of our listeners and viewers will be selected to win a case of Fiji water from FijiWater.com. That will run every month for the remainder of the year. That is for our U.S. listeners and viewers. We will do something later in the year for our international viewers, listeners and viewers, but right now this is for our U.S. listeners and viewers. So we've been running this now since April 1st, and we've had one winner in South Carolina. We've had one winner in Media, Pennsylvania, which is actually in our area. But we're going to be doing this every month for the remainder of the year, so stay tuned. Go to WKAPfaith.com. The first 3 songs you hear, starting at 12 p.m. or 6 p.m., you will text that list along with your name and your email address to the T-Mobile caller text line at 267-992-1424. I'm going to address a communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers. You want to know what is wrong with men today. You said they do not want to cater to women the way you want to be catered. So you want to know, how can you condition men to be more considerate of what you want as women? Okay, first of all, let me address your communication, but I'm going to break this down for you because you need to understand that you cannot train men to do anything we don't want to do. That's first and foremost. You cannot train men to do anything we don't want to do. We may do some things that we don't want to do because we love you. Not for any other reason, just because we love you. But we'll do them because we want to. But even that has some limits. We're not going to do things that we don't enjoy doing. We're not going to do things that are going to cause us any stress or anxiety. But we may do some things we don't really want to do because we love you. Now, having said all of that, whatever gave you the impression that women should be catered to? That's you got to ask yourself that question. See, society has really damaged the mind of people. And let me tell you what I mean by that. Men are taught to be gentlemen. We're not, watch this, we're not taught by our mothers to be gentlemen. We're taught by our fathers to be gentlemen. And if our fathers are not gentlemen, chances are we're not going to be gentlemen. But we're taught by our fathers how to be gentlemen. And that means not be abusive to women. That means to love them, protect them, and it means very simple things like opening the door for a lady. Now, I realize I'll get some emails about this, and I always enjoy hearing from all of you, so it's okay, or some text. You'll say, but I can open my own door. Well, you can, and you can spend the rest of your life doing that if you choose to do that. But at some point in time, that's going to be a problem for men. You know, we might let you do it because you think you can, and we know you're capable of opening your own door. But what we're doing is showing you some form of affection by caring for you enough to open the door. So we'll open the door for you. Let me help you out with something. We will do things that we know will provide creature comforts for our wives, significant others, the lady in your life. If you're just someone that a man is hanging out with, he may not do things that a gentleman would do, because a gentleman will have a relationship with you. A gentleman will pick up the check. A gentleman will do all of the things. He'll walk on the outside of the curb. You got to understand that we're taught to do those things, and even if the father is not in the home but he's present, he will teach his son to be a gentleman. If he's a gentleman, he will teach his son to do that. You know, and we all understand what being a gentleman means. It means to be a gentleman. Now, that doesn't mean that we're going to be a pushover. It doesn't mean that we're going to be simple. It doesn't mean that we're going to be, allow anyone to manipulate us. What it means is that we know what it means to be a gentleman. We understand what it means to be a gentleman. The problem is, and I'm going to say this, and I know I'm going to get some emails and texts about this one. And, again, newlifepastor@comcast.net. But here's the reality. Society has taught women that you don't need a man. You want a man in your life, but you don't need a man in your life. And so consequently, women have decided that they'll walk on the outside of the curb. No woman should be walking on the outside of the curb if she's with a man. And the reason is because, and I'm going to break this down in real simple form, because this is what my father taught me, God rest his soul. You walk on the outside of the curb because that's what gentlemen do. If a car were to lose control and run up on the curb, you're going to get hit first, which means you're protecting the woman you're with. But the problem is, and I'm going to say this, when divorce happens, and divorce does happen, but when divorce happens or women are single parents, their natural instinct is to walk on the outside of the curb because they've been protecting the children. But that's not their job. The father or the male should be on the outside of the curb protecting the woman and the children. And so, consequently, we have a whole population of people who are not in their role because in many cases we're out of order. So we have to get back to the basics. We have to understand our roles and we have to live within them. So you have to understand that you can't condition men to be more considerate of what you want. You have to inspire them to desire to do the things that they want to do for you because they love you or they care for you. Real simple stuff. We make it more complicated because we listen to what society tells us that we can do and we can get away with. And then we think, well, I'll try it out on someone until I find someone that works on. And consequently, as I always ask, how's that working for you? It hasn't worked out to this date, which means now we've got to do something different. Ladies, you do want a gentleman. He doesn't always have to be gentle because there's bad people out there in the world. So at some point he may have to roar like a lion and he may have to fight like a lion. But the reality is when he's with you and protecting you, married to you, in a relationship with you, his job is to be a gentleman. To be a gentleman. And to be a gentleman. A man who cares, loves, and protects. This segment of the broadcast is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. So if you are not currently a T-Mobile customer, you may call or text on the T-Mobile call or text line at 267-992-1424. We will move you into our queue so that you may become a T-Mobile customer and experience America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. Taxes and fees are included in your bill, and if you auto pay by attaching a credit card to your account, you will receive a discount on your monthly bill. At T-Mobile, America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers. However, before I do that, this segment of the broadcast will be brought to you by PorscheAmerica.com. If you are in the market for a high-performance automobile, one of the finest high-performance automobiles ever manufactured, go to PorscheAmerica.com, where you will have the opportunity to virtually build out the type of Porsche you desire to own. And if you're in our area, you can just simply go to PorscheDelaware.com, ask to speak to Mike Didio, who is the general manager of PorscheDelaware.com. He will have someone assist you in selecting the Porsche you desire to own. And if you currently own a Porsche and you're in our area and are just in need of service, go to PorscheDelaware.com, ask to speak to Mike Adams, who is the service manager at PorscheDelaware.com. He will make certain that someone schedules an appointment for you They pick up your vehicle at your home or office, drop a loaner vehicle to you, and will return your vehicle to you when your service has been completed at PorscheDelaware.com. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated you are age 34. You say you were engaged, however, the engagement is now off. And now you are not certain that you are going to meet someone you are compatible with to get married. So you're 34. Let me explain something to you. You still have an opportunity to get married, have a family. But you've got work to do. And let me tell you what that means. You are now at that point in your life where you are almost, believe it or not, you are a year away from being classified as being middle-aged. You're a year away. If you want to make certain that you find someone, let me rephrase that you meet someone, it's not your job to find them. It's his job to find you. If you want to make certain that you meet someone that you're compatible with to get married, have a family, I'm going to encourage you to do what I've encouraged every one of our listeners and viewers who have been with us for a very long time have heard me say. Go to Proverbs 31 in the Bible. You will find the virtuous woman. You will find a description of a woman who has been prepared to be a wife, has become a wife, and knows how to build and create a sustainable marriage. Proverbs 31, the virtuous woman. In addition to that, if you read the entire Holy Bible, you will find, and this is for men, that it's our job to find a wife. And when we find a wife, we find a good thing and obtain favor of the Lord. And what that means is that as men, we should be looking for a wife, not a girlfriend, not a long-term fiance, not somebody to just hang out with, not just somebody we call our friend. We should be searching for a wife. Because when we find her, we find a good thing and obtain favor of the Lord. So as a woman, your responsibility is to prepare yourself to be a wife, not a girlfriend, not a fiance, not a significant other, but a wife. Your responsibility is to prepare yourself. And what you have to do now, before you get to that next year, so you got a year to figure this out, and let me show you what that looks like. For the next year, you have to prepare yourself to be someone's wife. And what that means is you're going to have to, as the Bible says, examine yourself. You're going to have to look at your attitude, where your state of mind is with your attitude today, where you are in your attitude right now, this day. And you have to determine what changes have to be made. Are you angry? Are you belligerent? Are you critical? You got to look at all of that. And you've got to determine how you're going to make changes that will allow you to be in a healthy marriage. You have to look at your attitude. Then you have to look at your behavior. Are you doing things that are conducive for being a wife, to be someone's wife, their helpmate? Is that your behavior? And then you have to look at your level of commitment. You know, divorce does happen. You know, in life, we can find ourselves in a marriage that God did not ordain. And what I mean by that is, the scripture says, he who takes a wife leaves his mother, father, and cleaves unto his wife. The two become one. Now, having said that, it tells us not to be unequally yoked. It tells us that we have to find someone who's going to walk in agreement. But at the end of the day, we know that what God joins together, no man can put asunder. No man can separate. No man can dissolve. So if divorce happens, it's because God did not appoint and choose that person for you. We chose them for ourselves. That's why divorce happens. Divorce happens because marriage is a commitment. It is a lifelong commitment. When you marry the person that God has appointed and has chosen for your life, then divorce doesn't happen. And that's why 50% of America gets divorced. Because most of the time we choose people based on what we want as opposed to what God wants for us. So there's the component. So when you get married, you have to know that the person you are going to marry is the person that God has appointed and chosen for your life. And then, see, that's what we want to start doing differently. Not what society has taught us to do. What do they look like? How are they living? All those things. You know, that's not how marriage should take place. But we didn't know that. So we made all kinds of decisions over the course of our lifetime. But marriage is an appointment and is chosen by God and is a commitment that then we want. Well, we don't even have to want. If God has joined you together, you can't do anything to separate that marriage. It only ends because God didn't join you together. You decided you wanted to marry that person. And we gotta be careful how we choose. We gotta let God make the choice. And what I mean by that is, the person God has appointed and chosen for your life will find you. But you have to be prepared to be found. And you have to be prepared to be a wife. That's what I mean when I say prepare to be found. So you've got to do all of those things. You've got to examine your attitude, make the corrections. You've got to examine your behavior, make the corrections. Do you behave like a wife? Can you behave like a wife? And make whatever changes are necessary. Then you've got to make that commitment to God that if this is the person He's chosen for your life, it is a lifetime commitment. This segment of the broadcast has been brought to you by Comcast Business. Let me rephrase that. We all need to be more effective and more efficient in business. And Comcast Business gives you the opportunity to do just that. Contact Eunice at Comcast Business at 603-222-7706. Your code is Pastor Pope, and receive an $800 prepaid Visa gift card with a qualifying bundle. So contact Comcast Business. Eunice can be reached at 603-222-7706. Your code is Pastor Pope, always Pastor Pope. And receive an $800 prepaid Visa gift card with a qualifying bundle. You've got to get the qualifying bundle. You'll receive an $800 prepaid Visa gift card at Comcast Business. I'm going to address another communication, however, before I do, that was sent in by one of our listeners and viewers. This segment of the broadcast is going to be brought to you by Charles Tyrwhitt, located in London, the UK. They also have stores in New York, Chicago, Washington, D.C., and at the King of Prussia Mall in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania. So if you're in any of those areas, stop in at their retail stores. They have everything that you could possibly need for a man. And if you're not in any of those areas, you can order from Charles Tyrwhitt at ctshirts.com. They will ship and deliver right to your front door in an appropriate period of time. And The White Company, located in London, the UK, they also have a store on Fifth Avenue in New York. So if you're in New York, stop in at their retail store. They have everything you could possibly need: home goods, clothing for men, women, and children. And if you're not in New York, you can order from The White Company at thewhitecompany.com. They too will ship and deliver right to your front door in an appropriate period of time. So I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated you find yourself comparing your life to the life of your friends. You said it is difficult for you to accept that they all have better lives than you have. Okay, let me first of all, I want to make sure you're clear on something. The one thing you don't ever want to do is compare yourself to anyone else. That's the first thing. Because there's always going to be someone who has a better quality of life than you're having at any given particular moment. And the reason is someone may be healthier than you are, you may be having some health challenges, someone may have more money than you have right now, someone may be experiencing a better quality of life just by having peace that you don't have. Someone's always going to have a better quality of life. But what makes you believe that your friends' lives are so much better than yours? Because they have issues too. See, what you're doing is looking through the glass from the outside, and you're looking in. And what you see is they're married, they're living their lives. You know, the appearance might be a little better. You might perceive that they're having, notice I said perceive because perception is key. You might perceive that they're having a better life. You think their lives are better. But how about this? They may have more than you have right now, but to whom much is given, much is required. The more you have, the more responsibility you have. So what makes you think their lives are so much better? The truth is, if you really look from the inside out, and what I mean by that is just listening, you'll know how to pray for your friends. But the one thing you've got to do is stop competing with your friends. Now, you don't let them know you're competing, but you compete. And the way that you compete is just by simply comparing yourself. But here's the reality, and this is for all of our listeners and viewers. You are not competing with any other person on the planet except the person you see in the mirror every morning. And what I mean by that is, when you look in the mirror every morning, you have to be able to say, "It is well with my soul." In other words, you have to say, "I'm being the best version of myself that I can possibly be. I'm becoming the best version of myself that I can possibly become. And I'm going to put the work in today to be better today than I was yesterday." That's all you can do in this life. What everybody else is doing is what they're doing. How everyone else is living is how they're living. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't have a responsibility to try and help people have a better quality of life, because that's part of being a Christian. It's letting our light shine before mankind so that other people can walk in the light. But the only person you're competing with is that person you see in the mirror every morning. You're competing with that person in the mirror to be the best person, the best version of yourself that you can possibly become. And that's the competition we all live with every single day, is being our best, being the best version of ourselves that we can possibly become, so that we can experience the fullness of God, and so that we can live our lives to bring him all the glory. 3D, today's Daily Divine Direction broadcast, has been brought to you by Fiji Water. A taste of paradise will be delivered right to your front door when you subscribe for delivery, and you will save money at FijiWater.com. May God bless you today. May God keep his face turned towards you. May God give you peace that surpasses all understanding. Tune in for the Sunday sermon on Mother's Day. The Sunday sermon at 10:45 a.m. on our YouTube channel at New Life Christian Center